Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode number 83 of FinalBossTV, your WoW in-game rating show. I am Adam K, aka Bay. I'll be your host this evening, and we've finally come to it. We've come to the healer episode everyone's been waiting for. Possibly everyone's been waiting for. Maybe some people have been waiting for it out of spite or out of hope. Talk about Discipline and Holy Priests today. And the show will be kind of broken up into 3 parts as it normally is, and the middle part, hopefully we can weave in a sort of like meta hierarchy healer state of the game discussion. Because I wonder, I proposed this in the show notes, that I wonder if the healing state of the game is the problem of how Blizzard can't deal with Absorb. But not a lot of that, we'll get to that later. We'll see if that's the issue at hand. But this nerdy guy on the internet's back to help me talk about stuff. Who's this guy? Perfect. Hi, Skylar.
Hello. I don't know if I've been looking forward to this episode or if I've been dreading this episode, so we'll see.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Fun. A little bit of both. It'll be fun.
Well, hopefully we'll get
Nerf
through this
disc.
without. There it is. That's fine. That's fine.
Gotta get it in early.
Right. And joining us today will be Jack as well, or Automatic Jack. Hello, sir. How you doing?
It's going.
That's a good smile. I like that. Starting the smolder early.
Oh, you know, absolutely.
Now, Jack, you are the in this corner Holy Priest representation.
Holy Priest,
right? Holy Priest.
Get out of here.
Well, we'll see if you can.
Knock until you try it.
Don't knock until you try it. Bring some support to the Holy Priest community there with your ramblings of on today. And then in the other corner, for Discipline, almost by choice though, and by force. It's a weird place. There's Jinze. Hi, Jinze. Hello.
Hi guys. I'm kind of forced. I have tried Holy, by the way, so I am knocking it after trying it.
Oh! Well, that's kind of conclusive there. No, maybe? Yeah? She has experience on it and she still went back to Discipline. What do you want to say to that?
It's a fine spec. If you want to be less good at everything than everyone else. I mean...
Damn.
Wow. Dang. Do you have
I still love you, Jack. Don't worry.
Any retort against that, Jack? Defend yourself, sir.
For now. The fight's favorite. For now.
Okay, great.
Just watch Blizzard just rip out their heart. Just like, ah.
Yeah? Is that what it is? Goodness.
Someday. Maybe. Maybe.
Like, right as WoW is dying, they'll make Holy Priest the best spec.
Say for 1 week, have a go. Good luck.
And then they'll just turn the servers off because it'll literally like implode everything.
Are you sure that like the Archimon trinket's not going to make Holy viable, Jack?
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. I have many words to say on that. Oh.
But that's their answer. That's their answer, right? That's your
no, it's not.
Are you sure?
It's not the answer.
No.
Anti-synergy is everywhere. Everywhere.
Well, because both of you are new to the show. Because my returning guest is Affinity, which is fine. I'm kind of cheating in that regard. People in the chat room might be wondering, like, where's Jazrin? Oh my god! I talked to Jazrin, and I'm mostly going to save him for, if you haven't heard on the social media yet, I'm doing some catch-up Tier 18 episodes in the future here. After we finish the main Warlords junket, I'll be bringing on, like, 2 to 3 guests of each different classes and specs for, like, healing, range DPS, melee DPS, etc. During Tier 18, after the regular junket's over, sort of like, well, how has Tier 18 changed? Everything. And to see if the healing metagame is the same, or if melee DPS still sucks, and if it's all about hunters. So we'll talk about those later, and talk to Jazrin about that. He'll come in for that episode. But our new guests, Jack, tell the chat room a little bit about yourself. How long have you been playing Priest? What other healers do you play? What's your repertoire? How good's your resume to be on the show? Go.
Hello. I'm Jack. I've been playing Priest from most of MoP and into Warlords. I also am maining Paladin on the side, or playing it sometimes. I'm a mod for How to Priest, and been working with them for actually a couple weeks or something like that. Not very long. So working with Ashley Cakes and stuff like that for the guys that are coming up, and prepping for Warlords or 6.2 Hellfire Citadel stuffs. So I played Dirty Disc in Mop, and now I'm playing Holy, and
Gross.
it's the best thing ever.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been healing then? Like a grand total?
Grand total since Kata. It
Okay.
was like Dragon Soul when I started. First
like
character was
5 years
like,
then.
Oh my gosh, like 3 and a half or something. Yeah.
I don't know. You said start of Kata.
Was it?
I mean,
Firelance.
Mop was 2. Oh, so about halfway then. So like 4 years
Yeah.
then. So you got a year. You're almost a year under your belt now. All right.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jinze? How long you been healing, doing the things? What other healers do you play?
First, I want to apologize for my webcam. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh.
I'm from across the pond. I know it's really bad. I'm sorry. It's not usually this terrible. I main Disc Priest, obviously, but I've also been playing Holy, as I said. But I started as Shadow. Yes, surprise. I was a Shadow from Burning Crusade on, and then I switched on and off to Disc to Holy all the time, and then went full-time Disc in Mists of Pandaria halfway through when we got so out of hand that I couldn't not stay Disc. And that was a problem. I also play Monk, though. I mean, in my defense, I also play Monk.
Yay.
Just to hell of it. But other than that, I make guides about my antics as a discipline priest, and I tell you what to do, I tell you how to play, and then you tell me I'm wrong, and that's fine. But
Do you show people how many bindings and how many different ways you can bind Powered Shield?
I have lots of bindings. I'm not saying I use them all.
Because they're all just
What about
rerouted
Holy
Powered
Nova?
Shield. Yeah.
Holy Nova's on there for the sake
is
of
it?
it. It is on there. It's on my G key. I need it for emotional support to know that it's there when I need it.
Oh, when would you need
One
it?
day.
When?
I need it for fireworks after I kill a boss.
Oh,
Clearly.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So it's a great keybind then.
It has a
That is
purpose.
a really important
Like
key bind.
pre-stacking DA or something off the pole, just like.
Well, I already
Crit.
removed Prayer of Mending from my keybar. I couldn't throw everything
Wait,
off.
so you have Holy Nova and not Palm? What?
Nah, screw that. Screw Palm.
Oh my gosh. Dude, Palm's
That's
so pretty.
That's a holy priest thing. Please.
That's a holy priest thing. She's even like forsaking spells. Oh, mine are too much of holy.
Damn.
Jeez.
Holy,
Oh my goodness.
So useless.
All right, Skylar, do something. Talk about Warlords so far in your opinion, and then throw it over to the guests. Yeah, exactly.
Do you really want my opinion on how Warlords has been so far?
You can't see my face, but I'm totally serious right now. I really, really want your opinion on this expansion. Go.
They got it a lot better. I mean, grand scheme of things, you know, they said one thing, other things. Well, I mean, we'll get into the whole dev water cooler stuff later. Because otherwise that'll take up 3/4 of the episode, I'm sure. I don't know. I think they could have done better, but they can always do better, and eventually they'll get healing right. Please, Blizzard. Please.
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 His face
of
of
these
a
days.
broken man.
If Blizzard sees this, they'll instantly change everything. Can't say no to that.
It hasn't worked so far.
So what do you guys both think of Warlords then so far? I'll go with Jinze first. What do you think? How's the expansion been for you?
I gotta say I really enjoyed the quests, and I know that's not really a rating thing, but I really enjoyed the quest until I got to the point where I was just in my garrison all the time. That's just boring. I sit there, I do all my quests, and log out, wait for my raid. That's it. That's really annoying. Though I did really enjoy the raids. Like the raids themselves, Heimel I thought was amazing to heal. I mean, it kind of dropped off after that, but let's not get too much into that. And the fact that they ruined my atonement is, well.
This is part of why the healing meta conversation will come up later, which I thought that was atonement like too good in the past, and then like they nerfed it to the ground, so now all you can do is spam shield. Like what?
Yeah.
It is. The thing is, I mean, if in Mists you had atonement, and then you had your 90 talents, and then eventually, of course, Holy Nova got broken, but all that put together, you still have a lot more buttons to press than you do right now. Like right now, I'm getting my evangelism up, and then I'm done. Then I press Power Word Shield a whole bunch of times, and sometimes I stack Clarity of Will. That's my fight, which is pretty boring as playstyles go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how did Warlord start out for you, Jack, and how is it now molded for you? What do you think?
At least with regards to questing, I mean, like leveling was fine, but the raid content I think is like progressively getting better and better. I didn't really like Heimel compared to Blackrock. I think Blackrock's like way better, but I think it's good and good overall. But like, at least with just raids, because once you're done with raids, there's really nothing to do. There's
true.
like the garrison campaigns, and then all the rep grinds where you just kill mobs, and there's no reward for that, or no reason for me to want to do that. So, kind of just chill my garrison. Wait for raids to start. Raid more. Raid 6 days a week.
I guess we can all sort of. I guess we all sort of agree that the raiding has been. I mean, Highball was kind of but as far as our perspective from raiding goes, it's all been pretty good. The fights have been up until I would argue Mythic Blackhand, which I will never remember after he's done in Hellfire Citadel. I don't think anyone's gonna put him in their top 5. So he's definitely gonna be nowhere near Lay Shadow.
Imperator was more fun.
It wasn't a very interesting fight, to be honest. It was very set in stone. Come on.
Or just waiting for other, like as a healer, like there's nothing for you to do.
No. You're just waiting for other people to execute fine.
You're waiting for the last phase to like panic, and then you're just like, all right, I hope the boomkins make it up. I hope the boomkins make it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, chat room brings up. You don't want that slightly recolored boar, Jack? You sure?
You know, which one? Like the 6 recolored boars, and then there's the one that is like an elephant or something.
How many of the recolored mounts do you have, Skylar? At least all of them, right? Right?
I don't give a crap about mounts.
What about the garrison campaign? So you can get more of the follower upgrades, which you desperately don't have 60 of in your bag.
Yeah, you get the really flavorful follow upgrade of that sword that actually doesn't appear on the person you give it to.
They're really good vendor loot, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3
that.
gold. But so is treasure hunters, and just playing the game for free now. Which, hey, that's a nice thing actually with Warlords. You play the game for free.
Playing for free, yeah. Actually forgot about that. That's great.
It's pretty awesome.
So what was the transition then like from Mists of Pandaria to Warlords for Discipline and Holy? I didn't actually like write down all the things because you both told me that like not a whole lot changed. So what happened for the ability pruning for Discipline and Holy? Obviously, Jinze, you can go first with Discipline. That like Atonement was like gone. So like what else changed for Discipline going from MOP to Warlords?
What changed? Well, obviously the Atonement thing then also affected everything else. I mean, the only thing you had left was Bubble. They didn't really take much away from us. I have to say, we still had them. They were just useless. So you got stuck just spamming bubbles and everything. They're like the level 90 talents also got dumped to the ground. Nobody wants to use them anymore on cooldown. I mean, Cascades fire and go, and then for the rest of the time you're just sitting there spamming one button on the entire raid, and every so often you target a tank. I mean, that's a bad transition.
I mean, because I play my only other like alt that's a healer is I have a little baby priest. I'm actually leveling a Discipline.
Yes.
I don't want to level.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm leveling a Discipline because I don't want to level a Shadow. It's just really blech. But it feels like
Red Chakra. Red Chakra.
Don't even, man.
Jack. I never tried it. Never tried it. Look, never tried it, honestly. But it feels like I did a couple of dungeons, and it feels like there's like a bit of a rotation with Discipline. Like, you throw out an Atonement, you throw out some Smites, you get your Evangelism up, you pop Wings, you look pretty for a while, you throw out that free crit, Player of Healing, and then you make sure bubbles in people. So it felt like there was like a rotation to it, but is that just not the case? Like, what do you...
It's not really a rotation. You just get those 5 stacks up and then you bubble. I mean, if you want to call that a rotation, be my guest. But it's I can't really call it that because there's no choice anywhere. When the entire raid is taking damage, what are my choices? Bubble everyone. When one person's going to take high damage, what do? Bubble them. I mean, I don't have decisions to make. I just don't. Even mana-wise, I don't. I have next to no spirit, and I'm just sitting there. I can press this bubble some more, no problem.
So how about MOP to Warlords for Holy then, Jack? I know a lot of the chakra system got reworked a bit, right?
Yes, it is amazing having the chakra system reworked. That was like a huge turnoff to playing. Like I played Disc and MOP, but I play Holy like very sparingly. But every single time I was like, oh, we play with chakras, and then I was like, wow, I'm in the wrong chakra to be using prayer healing, and I got screwed. But then once they changed that up, it's like fantastic. Nobody really played Holy, so they didn't really take out a lot of stuff. So we still have like a really nice toolkit.
So bad.
It does. I mean, they removed Void Shift, which was like my favorite thing ever.
That's true. Yep.
Especially for challenge modes.
Biggest troll spell.
And PvP. I'm really salty of losing that for PvP.
I don't really PvP.
I mean, it still had its use. It was technically still like a raid cooldown, because you could.
Yeah.
If you're,
it was awesome. It was fantastic. It's like a lay on hands.
Basically, that's what. Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
It's only really good to stand in the fire, void swap with someone, and then pull them into the fire. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Is
good
that
for
how you did
for
it?
procking
Okay.
faith.
That's all you do with it. That's the only use is to troll people.
Yeah.
I don't care about real uses for it.
Oh, and
okay.
apparently, with the ability pruning, they buffed our holy word, Sanctuary, by 60%. And I'm not lying. That is what it says.
Have
So it
you
went
noticed?
From, less than 0 to like
0.6.
nothing still. 0.6.
Now,
Yeah.
Holy Word Sanctuary, is that the instant heal, or is that the...
That's the ground.
The ground
It's a nice
effect.
little like wannabe healing rain.
Wannabe healing rain, yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Or even now, wannabe F-low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True that.
Everyone gets a healing circle. Yay! You just don't put it down.
That's sadly how it is. I mean, I think, Skylar, from your perspective, though, like, from the rating standpoint, back at even MOP now, and is it always why you would see Holy Priest in raids, because you already had a Discipline Priest in the raid, and you had, like, two priests in your roster?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you would never only bring a holy priest, like, and not have a disc priest. It'd be silly.
Right.
Ask the Holy Priest to go disc.
Yeah.
Ask the,
I mean, yeah.
I mean, have you ever actually raided with only one priest and it being you as holy? I wouldn't assume so.
Not progression. Not when it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to be like, yeah, just go holy, farm content. The disc is like 5 minutes late. Let's start pulling bosses as fast as we can. Get the ranks going.
No, yeah, it's farm. If you go holy for that, everybody else in your raid is really happy about it. At least your other healers are.
So I can heal more.
and that seems to be like the thing that propagates throughout the community. That sort of happened in Siege of Orgrimmar, I think, because we were in that place for so long, 13 months just about, and all the healers would actually have fun on farm when there was no Discipline Priest, but then when there was Discipline Priests, they would all just like AFK and they do DPS.
Yeah.
And that, they have to have the analytics of that somewhere. They have to see these numbers.
I think they actually said that they did, but then eventually they didn't want to change it anymore because people had already progressed with them and they didn't want to change that. So it's kind of a bad reason, but yeah.
Wait, you mean that they would change healer balance during progression? They would never. Oh, wait.
Oh, wait, what? Eyeball, excuse me, is this game live yet, or is it still live beta? Is it still beta? Hey! This expansion so far, up until I hope HFC, really has felt like live beta. I mean, less now in Blackrock Foundry, but man, Highmalt was 3 Tuesdays in a row they were hotfixing and changing and patching and stuff.
Yep.
Remember, they also said that like because of the new system and stuff, like they would only really change DPS by like a 5% swing either way, and then that didn't actually end up being the case either.
Hello,
Remember,
Arcade
like,
Mages,
yes,
congrats on
monks?
your 23% DPS increase.
So them
DPS
having
monks
like
beginning
analytical
expansion.
data of anything really doesn't doesn't do much because it just doesn't end up being what they say it's going to be.
Well, speaking of being what this is going to be, Jack, you have a quote from us from the Dev Water Cooler about the healing forethought meta change before going into Warlords. Want to bring that up for a moment real quick for us? What's...
Let me see, I'll make sure I have a link in chat for you guys.
Indulge us real quick. Because
I would love to.
Yeah.
They're talking
I'm already
about
crying.
how the retuning of the spells and like the ability pruning and all this stuff. So they have some lovely quotes here of like what they wanted to make the healer meta to be.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about that they're buffing heals less than they're increasing creature damage. So heals will be deliberately less potent compared to health pools than before the item squish. And as gear improves, the scaling rates of health and healing will now be very similar. So the relative power of any given spell shouldn't climb so much over the course of this expansion. So basically triage healing. And Celestalon goes even further in depth with it when he makes actually a forum post, when he responds to forums, where they're talking about how Disc was overpowered, and they're talking about Atonement and like what's wrong with that. So he talks about how like the AoE caps of your 90 talents, how they wanted to change that, so it actually had caps. And they're wanting to talk about what they're making with Warlords, where damage is more high sustained and less burst, and meaning that no longer does everyone sit at full health and absorb snipe all the effective healing. And on top of that, we've toned down how much of Disc throughput comes from absorbs in general. Have they?
I feel nerfed.
Yeah.
Don't know about you.
You feel nerfed, Jinze?
I feel so nerfed.
So nerfed.
I mean, You
My
know, you're
shields
not
are
doing
nothing.
like 100k DPS and then doing 300 HPS.
See, I'm nerfed. There you go. All these complaining.
I don't...
Nerf more!
I think... I mean, this is like the preamble to like the conversation we'll get into after we break down some stuff about priests a little more, so people get a little more like wrapped into this discussion. But I mean, obviously the absorb meta needs to change. I personally feel that Clarity of Will is the proper way to do it because it is a choice, it is a talent, and it's a cast, and it's only on one person, right, at a time.
Yeah. It's a huge cast.
I'm not really sure I agree with that because Clarity of Will right now is the main reason that we can bypass mechanics. Well, it's not Power Shield.
That's the caveat to that discussion, is that I think if there's going to be absorb, it should be a choice, not just a GCD. And the weakened soul buff doesn't matter because you're blanketing, and by the time you get back around in the 20-man raid, everyone's got the weakened soul buff gone anyway. So, yeah, it is mechanically changing, but really, do you have option? Like, what mechanics have you bypassed with Clarity?
What have I bypassed? I mean, really clearly bypassed is Maidens, obviously debuffs, and I mean the smash on is kind of a bypass. I mean, you can send them up solo by just pressing cow on them a whole lot of times, which is kind of a bypass. You don't need to send a healer up with them. So yeah, things like that I think are important because you can build your tactic around them.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's exactly
like the Maidens where you just ignore everything.
Yeah, just have a disc priest. I do all 3 debuffs, so
yeah,
you can just have everyone else free to do whatever the hell they want otherwise.
Or we see a lot of guilds doing double disc, like that's scary.
That's scary. What guilds do that?
No.
Only on Maidens. That's only okay on Maidens.
But I'm saying, like, if they start bringing it to other fights, that's the herald of the end times. That's when it's all over. That's when it's just done.
Just delete priest at that point.
I guess the big issue with that is preventing damage a more healthy avenue than healing damage, which I think most healers would say no.
But it's not healing.
Because you're not healing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why I argue with the Clarity of Will being on like a certain part of a fight can be used with this, because obviously if they cast 2 of the shields, you're talking about the blood debuff cone thing on the one person, and they can just take the whole debuff with the yeah. But that's like the only thing. It's like that's one part of the whole encounter, right? Mm-hmm. So,
or it's like something niche or something,
right? Obviously, because holy paladins are pretty much required for endgame ready because they can heal both tanks at the same time. Because that's not
not even healing them.
Well, I'm not even healing them, exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to actually choose to put your super bubble and cast it twice to preemptively attack a mechanic, whereas the Holy Paladin already put up both bacons and then just heals whoever they want and both tanks get healed. Or they heal those tanks directly for more benefit. So it's a weird thing. But the problem I feel is that there are more throughput healers that have HOTS and healing over time effects that then get totally crushed because of this. Like 4 of the 6 healers, sort of have that model.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think you see that in the healing meta right now, that there's just basically there's Disc Priest, Holy Paladins, and Shamans that you want to bring, and then the last slot is just, well, who wants to throw dice or play some cards for this spot?
Healer X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw dice. Yeah. Hey, those are in the game. You can do
that. True.
You can actually throw dice.
Right. I'll back us up a bit, I guess. Were there any good perks or things that were added in thoughts going into what that system brought in Warlords? The one that I came through in email was the Enhanced Leap of Faith, which is that when you pull someone, you get a huge bonus healing to them, but that's canceled by the silencer item, which I guess, does people actually do that, like, openly? Is that a thing that priests have ever really talked about? This was, like, a weird question for me. I didn't know if that was something to, like, is Enhanced Leap of Faith good, bad, ugly? There's also a glyph for it. Is it... Jinze is laughing because it seems like...
We're giggling a little bit.
It's because it's tough. I'm sorry. I don't see how you would ever really rely on that.
Right.
I mean, the only time I leap of faith ever is Black Hand. And then you get this 50% extra healing. It's like, yes, that was worth it. On a 1.5 minute cooldown. And if you actually wanted to use that, otherwise you'd have to glyph the leap so you don't pull your tank into God knows where. So it's not something you can really use in a raid. I get it for PvP, but just PvE, no.
It's Jack.
I mean, I keep gripping our tanks, then they start using silencers. So I didn't get a chance to be like, "Hey, let's try this tank cooldown where I grip you to me." And and I heal you for more.
It's just not.
That's the fix. That's the fix to Holy Priest tank healing.
What is?
We tried to make it work.
Oh my gosh! Enhanced Leap of Faith.
Just grip them away from the boss.
If you glyph it so that you go to them, does that actually work though? Still?
It works, but not if they're silenced.
Should.
If they have a silencer, then still you can't do that.
I guess, yeah. It just feels like trying to put a perk that's that big of a deal on one of the trollish spells in the game seems like a wasted perk, yeah?
It is, really.
Sadness.
I really feel that this is just for PvP, though, because I can see it being useful there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I guess, yeah. It makes sense. It was a question that was brought up. I wanted to address it. Skylar, because you play Resto Druid as a main, and you were the first class that felt the active mana regen punch in the balls, do you want to bring us into this?
If we have to, like, beat this dead horse some more, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it.
I'm
ready.
I don't know. It's active mana regen, and I feel like we've spoken about it so freaking much, and it's just so obnoxious. I mean, there's really nothing left from active mana regen, and I really doubt we'll ever see it. I guess Disc kind of sort of got hit by it a little bit with the removal of Rapture. Kind of.
Can't really say that.
Powered Shield's free.
Right, it's because it didn't really impact anything, right? So
No.
it was... Some people said it was a big deal, but it's not like it was really... It wasn't a mana gain anyways.
Right.
It was before they nerfed it to not benefit from the extra spirit procs. I mean, at that point it was ridiculous, but then since they removed that, it was not really a big deal anyway.
Yeah, I've been a proponent that I think that Powered Shield should have a 4-second cooldown, should still have Rapture attached to it, so that there is like a point that your other because it felt like if you have the choice of using a Powered Shield, it shouldn't be something you just spam. And if it also had a mana regen mechanic to it, you'd also like have to choose a new target that was proper for it every 4-ish seconds or so to also make sure that you can use your other abilities, like, I don't know, offensively smiting or using Holy Fire or, penetrating the tank or something like that. Is that wrong to think?
That's the thing is, though, we don't really have anything but powered shields. Like, I would really love to use something that isn't powered shield, but if you add a 4-second cooldown to it, then in that 4-second window, what are you going to cast? Are you going to smite? Because smite doesn't heal. Penance has a cooldown. You don't want to flash heal. Holy Fire has a cooldown. So what are you going to do? You just have to take Clarity of Will at that point to be able to cast anything. And if you add Rapture to it as well, we're running with infinite mana at that point.
Yeah.
Because we're already fine now.
Like,
it's just going to get worse.
Doesn't really need a lot of spirit.
Like, well, go ahead, Jeff.
In MOP, you could spam Powered Shield, but you never did. Because A, Atonement was better, and B, Powered Shield costed a ton.
Right.
There was a punishment for Powered Shield spamming. So you could stack all the spirit you wanted and spam Powered Shield if you really, really wanted to, but you lost out on, like, the potential of all that juicy Atonement healing. So there was a punishment to it. I think it's kind of a good niche that Disc should be able to spam Powered Shield, but that shouldn't be 80% of their healing.
Yeah, it is a real thing, I guess. And Archangel doesn't have anything interactions with that anymore now, too, does it? Like, it's just sort of a thing you get for either spec, and you get one super heal coming up right next. Just gets, is it prayer healing for both specs, actually?
Prayer of Healing is Archangel.
I don't have Archangel. Holy doesn't have it.
Right. So just that's all you get with Disc, then you get one.
Yeah.
It's your empowered Archangel is like the next prayer heal, and then it increases.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Jinze. Go ahead. Yeah, you're the Disc. You're the Disc.
You're the Disc priest. Yeah.
If you have the 4 set, you have to cast it straight away, and you don't want to sit on your Archangel either. So you basically cast it when it goes off cooldown. Instantly cast your empowered as well. Maybe cast 2 Prayer of Healing if you're really bored and you have the haste for it, but that's as far as interaction goes. It's very standard.
And then there was nothing like that for Holy at all, though,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, rotational. I mean, but healer is heavy rotation, though. Is that a good thing to have, though?
That's why I play the healers, because it's not a rotation. Because I don't, like, tunnel the boss and just, like, push the 4 buttons,
Right.
Like, I think that's one of the big appeals to healing is that when it's reactive, it's awesome. When you ride that fine line of like everyone's about to die and you just got to keep on casting to keep going, it's awesome. Like that's the best part of healing. So when you can be reactive to the healing and stuff.
It's nice if you have a choice on how to heal instead of just having this set rotation that is always going to be best. And we don't really have that anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, because Holy has something like that, though. They have no arc. I mean, you can change your chakras and stuff, right? Do you even ever?
Yep. Sometimes. There's a couple fights. Well, chakras in general are kind of crazy because you see some people like Jazrin who will sit in yellow forever, which is the single target, on like a ton of fights, and he has like crazy amounts of spirit, so he'll be taking Surge, Alight, and D-Star and stuff like that, and he's a lot of times it's like buffering his lack of direct healing through taking Surge and stuff like that.
Okay.
Or but generally like the standard, like the everybody else sits in blue, which is the reduces the cooldown of circle heal, which is like the most OP heal ever. If it actual heal, not an absorb, but
right.
I know. Well, nobody knows. Nobody plays Holy. Come on.
It doesn't need any nerfing.
Exactly. So everybody else kind of sits in blue.
Right. And I guess there's just no... And you're still playing mostly Resto Druid now, right, Skylar? So what... And you don't even have anything to do, right? Is there any rotation you have to deal with? Like, all you do is it's just hot spams if you don't have a disc brace in your raid, right?
I have 3 buttons, basically, yeah.
Right.
Swiftman, Wild Growth on cooldown. So I guess it's kind of rotational, but it's also more situational than rotational. I mean, I was playing Boomkin for a while, and that's definitely far more rotational than healing will ever be. And I would honestly hate healing if it was super rotational, because it's more fun when you play a reactionary play style than just kind of like, okay, well, you do the same thing on every boss no matter like what it is, unless there's ads and then you change it a little bit. I would hate healing if it was really rotational, but ability pruning did kind of reduce everything that you really had to do, which is kind of good and bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Every little thing that you cast of like the whack-a-mole game is more and more important.
I just blanket people in hots and wild growth and hope it lands on the right people and doesn't overheal for 95%.
Right, because that was my counter argument, because when they sort of simplified, I say simplified as I played on Handsome Shaman and I have like negative downtime, they tried to simplify like DPS rotation so you could actually like pay a little more attention to the encounters and do the encounters besides like fighting your tell me whens or your rotational help or your hotbar, basically. So I think that was a positive for most DPS classes, because then you can actually have more difficult bosses. But also when they did that to healers now, you sort of only have like 4 choices.
Right.
Yeah.
Ever.
Although you're not relying on like, you're not asking the rest of Shaman to stack as much spirit as possible so that everyone reforges out of all their spirit, so that you're able to...
Yeah.
So it's more predictable, I guess, if for how much spirit that you have. Like when I play Paladin, I know I'm like, okay, so I have Lay on Hands from Glyph of Divinity, and then I have my pot, and that's it, Or when I play Priest, I'm like, okay, I have Mind Bender every minute, and that's about it, and my pot. So in some ways, you do lose out on a bit of like utility when you don't have like Hymn of Hope or something like that, but it's also really reliable. Where you're like, it's very predictable knowing where your spirit's going or where your mana's going, I guess. So
yeah,
I mean, to the point of mana though, like one of the big things that they were really trying to do with mana was that they were mana was supposed to be rough, so that you had to decide like, okay, am I going to, I'll just use Druid as the example, will you wild growth or will you rejuve 3 people, because it's probably not going to land on the people you want it to and it's going to cost too much mana. They kind of dropped the ball on that one too, though.
Because you do both now, right?
Yeah, because you just kind of hit a point where eventually you have enough regen, or in the case of Disc Priest, it doesn't matter. And then so yeah, regen.
I gotta say that right now I'm actually running no spirit on my neck, on my cloak, not on one of my rings. I sometimes run with a throughput trinket, and I'm still just drowning in mana most of the time.
I hate you.
Except for Blast Furnace. On Blast Furnace, I'm not drowning in it. I'm just making it. But even if I'm just making it, I mean, come on. It's not supposed to be that way. I'm supposed to like spirit, and I just don't.
Well, yeah, and that's why they got rid of the active mana regen concept, because they wanted to give us something to do, but they also didn't want it to like invalidate the need to like kind of cherry pick what spells you cast when and kind of watch your mana.
Yeah.
They were trying to do the kata model without actually doing the kata model, and all they really did was give us the exact same model that we've already had.
Which is the weird counter thing. They just buffed all of like healers' damage recently.
Sorry, what?
Yeah,
You want to
like,
take
try
that
to bring up a
back.
tome
Oh,
in
I'm
here.
sorry. Is there something wrong with Discipline Priest?
My
Oh,
monk
no.
out damages my disc priest. Come on.
Right. Well, they they tried to buff other. I mean, they did for I guess Druid and Resto Shaman. Their Lightning Bolt and Wrath does something now, ish.
Nah.
But yeah, that's the weird thing. If they're gonna buff your damage, which basically just buffs your like daily questing if you don't want to go to a DPS spec, yay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually do anything in raids because there's no reason to be offensive. Because there's no active mana regen model where you have to do something else besides your thing, unless you're a monk again. Because again, monks can choose to go melee or go ranged. In that sense, you know, they never get chosen as that though. But yeah, it's. Blackrock Foundry though moves along. We've kind of already talked about the healing situation right now in the raiding world. We've got something what we've been edging around currently. So, is there a healer balance that you would put the 6 healers in a flowchart, basically, Jack? What would you say? Like, best healer to... I'm not going to say worst, but, like, least needed healer in a raid. Out of the 6 healers you can use.
If we're going to include not just, like, the overall throughput they do, but also the utility they bring to the raid and stuff like that, or the type of healing they bring to the raid, I'd actually put...
involved, yeah.
Yeah. I'd put Holy Pallies first. It's kind of telling when you see a lot of guilds put double Holy Pallies in on progression for all those fights.
Right.
For Blackrock Foundry. Like, it's kind of insane. But, like, Disc is, like, really not that far behind. Just the fact that, like, just double Holy Pally is so stable. You don't really have to worry about your tanks that much at all. It's, like, you know, Holy Pallies heal tanks without healing the tanks. And it's just too good. Otherwise, after the Absorb healers, which we all knew were going to be the top 2, I think they're all really close. It's kind of that really close tie. I'd probably say Resto Shaman just because of how good it is on progression. Then Holy Priest with like Monk tied close behind, and then Druid. Yep, I know. I'm waiting for that.
Yeah.
Monk are supposed to be really good with like their force set and their trinkets or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm talking about right now. Like not.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right now. Like,
Well, no one cares right now. Damn it.
That's what I know, because they're gonna like nerf the hell out of the monk stuff, and then it's not gonna be like 20% of their throughput like it is on PTR. Like, holy crap!
Don't ruin their dreams now.
Yeah.
Jinze, what about you? Where would you stack the 6 healers? Similar? Slightly different?
Slightly different. I would still put paladins first, just well, obvious reasons, obviously, but I would put shamans second.
Oh,
and I know not
really?
everyone agrees with that, but the reason for that is just their utility. They have their healing totem, and they have double link. I mean, you cannot pass up on double link. It's insane. I mean, disc priests are good. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. I mean, you want the shaman instead of the disc if you have to choose. I mean, it's fine that we're bypassing mechanics. That's really cool. But in the end, if you got to choose, I would take the shaman. And then I would follow that up by a druid. I'm sorry, guys. It's a druid. And then a monk and the holy priest tied as the last spot. It's not because...
Where does this go into this?
I'm on third after that.
Okay.
Like, they're really close, but... Yeah, it's still not as good as a shaman. And then, I mean, the monk and the holy priest, they're decent healers, but they don't really bring anything that the other healers don't. Like, the druid's better in overall throughput healing and has the trank, which is just great. It has... I mean, it's a bit meh without Fox later on, I will admit.
Yeah, that's gonna be
And the fact that you have to stand still, you have to stand still with trank. That sucks. I mean, monk has the trank on the move, which is really great.
That heals for
more. And I think...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that.
It's also BAM, and your cooldown's gone. So that's I think that's the minus for that. And I mean, the Holy Priest is kind of the same. I mean, you have the healing him, which is really good if your healers can react to that. But the healing itself on that is, I looked at some of the ticks. It's not great. Like maybe you're
not super balanced around it though. Like if you look, we're never supposed to have a trank. Like we're not balanced around having the power of a trank. We have like this little, like, almost out healed by a Shadow Priest of Vampiric Embrace. Not even kidding. It's depending on if they get like if the Shadow gets like execute phase and stuff like that. It's insane how much healing they can do with that. But we're also the only amp you've got in 6.2.
I can live without that. I'm fine.
That's still a coupling thing, right? With I can't remember. I just brain farted. The name of the actual cooldown, Hem of Hope, right?
Yeah, D-Hem, Divine Hem.
Yeah, Divine Hem, right? And that actually increases the healing on people when it actually ticks on them, correct? By
I think that's what they balance.
Everybody's healing.
Yeah.
By all sources, yeah, that's the only real amp because amp is gone.
Yep.
So
one thing is the weekend raid group that I go with. My alt, we were healing Blackhand without Resto Shaman, and it's terrifying when you don't have double link. I will say that.
Without double link?
So, yeah, like for our first kill, we had double link, and it was just easy. Without double link, like people are just dying because a couple people are too far away, or the mages are wearing cloth and they're standing right under the demos, and it's just like, yeah.
I actually forgot to mention Ascendants as well. I just thought of that. They also have Ascendants. They have so many cooldowns. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, Shaman have many cooldowns, which is good and bad for the class. Yeah.
So, Shaman.
And their raid cooldown, they don't have to channel.
Oh, your chat was giving you crap for that. That's totally fine. That's
I don't care if you wanna hate on my accent. It's fine. I'm okay with that.
So then, we already talked about the whole absorb thing. I don't want to get into this again, but is there anything else wrong with the healing meta right now? Is the healing class balance the problem, or is it still the raid fight design issue?
I think it's mostly just the balance of cooldowns right now. I think HPS wise, I think we're kind of fine. We're doing well. I mean, on our first Blackhand kill, we were all very close to each other. But then there's the fact that Disc Priests have barrier, and you have the Paladins that are getting buffed with the Devotion aura. Yeah. You have the Shamans with the massive amounts of cooldowns, and then you have the rest of them kind of trailing behind that without much to bring to the raid utility wise. And I feel like either they need higher HPS to make up for that, or they need some utility that's actually good.
I mean, that was the argument we had talking this when we talked about beta stuff way back in the day. Skylar, we were talking about how they were moving all the cooldowns to like healers, sort of, and then they didn't. And now they're sort of almost back to that with removing Fox and Amp. So are we going to see a better like balance of maybe bringing different healing comps for different encounters? Because obviously we like bring up like oh my goodness, Revival is really, really good if something happens to blow up and then you can counteract the ability. But otherwise than that, like Trank and Divine Hymn are pretty good, right? So maybe do you think we'll see different breakdowns of bringing different healer comps or no?
That's entirely fight dependent though.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about
like
the fights.
What I mean.
As much as I knock on like absorbs and Disc Priest as a whole, ultimately it really does come down to encounter design. If there's not a lot of damage, then priests are going to look even better because they're just like they're taking 60% of it, and then your 3 or 4 other healers are fighting for what's left. And I mean, early beta on testing on like Beastlord Darmak when it was tuned almost a little too much, but it was still felt really good. Right. You saw a really nice healer balance breakdown. Blast Furnace Progression is a great example where like all of the healers were kind of even over the course of the encounter. They need to do more stuff like that, and then they also need to do what they said with the whole health scaling to your spell power scaling, so that you're relatively as you progress through the game, you're still only healing 20% of a health pool for a spell if that's what it starts out with at the start of the expansion.
Right, because it feels like we're only going to get stronger, right? So to counteract that, bosses and raids have to do more damage. But even on all the PTR testing we've done, I've only done all the heroic stuff. I don't know if any of you have tested all the mythic things.
Yeah.
Is it still that you can like? Are there huge troughs and fights where like nothing happens? Like tanks take damage, but
there are some
like,
moments
for like Manaroth or something.
You're just sitting there on your hands thinking, okay, when's the damage coming? I feel like I don't know if you tested Manaroth, if they changed that later on yet, if there's anything in the patch notes, but Manaroth on its own as a whole seemed really lackluster for healing. There wasn't much to heal to begin with, even if there was damage going on. So I don't know what they're going to do with that, but it needs changing.
I think a lot of it is just the encounter design, because you look at some fights where all the healer, like the more damage that comes out, the more even the healers are looking or stuff like that. I mean, in the post that they're even talking about, they're talking about how they want to make it more desirable to have throughput healers by consistent damage, constant damage going out on the raid, you know, and a triage style of healing. Like, a lot of it, I think, is just the encounter design favoring it. I mean, healing's been really, really good this expansion because of, well, Holy's been better than it's been in ages. Like, it's been fantastic, and fights are getting better and better. Like, you see fights where, oh, the monk is great on this one, or the holy priest is great on this one, or, you know, the disc is going to dominate some fights here and there, you know. Well, and then it's going to dominate everything on farm, but farm doesn't really matter. It's all, like, if we're talking just progress, you know, it's been better. It's been, like, way better than it's ever been.
Well, right. Well, that's what I mean. And chat brings up, you know, there are big gaps in damage. Sounds like a perfect time for active mana regen. But that's
yeah.
That's if mana had an ebb and flow to it, where you know there was damage, and you know there wasn't damage, so you could actually do both things at once. But now, when there isn't damage, you're just like you're giving the time for the discipline priest to stack up shields to avoid the next incoming damage, or you have so many hots out that the damage when it comes out doesn't do anything. So I'm just, it's obviously this is a hard topic for them to figure out, but different fights, I think, in HFC will fill different damage like paradigms.
I hope so. If you look at Imperator,
right.
If you take out before Cho'Gall comes out, of course, but like the only real need for like the Disc Priest on Imperator would be like the pulsing AoE, where you're pulsing all over everybody else.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's all constant damage, right? Like, it's just steady damage the whole encounter.
Loved that.
Well, I have to disagree there, because I was the one doing the debuff there.
Branded,
and that is really good for that. Like, but that's the only thing, and you can actually do it without a Disc Priest too. So, but it's niche. So,
I guess,
feel like if they had more fights where they had just something pulsing AoE or something like that, I mean, it was great. It was just constant.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, in the end phases, it was really balanced.
Yeah.
I feel from a DPS standpoint that they sort of build different encounters to be either maybe like melee friendly, but then like everyone else kind of gets like a meh fight, or they're ranged difficult, so range is a hard time for that one, which sort of impacts healing, but sort of doesn't. And then some are like healing intensive oriented fights. So like Tyrant Velhari might be the healing fight for like mythic progression in HFC. So like that might be different. I wonder if they kind of pick one of the 4 like parts of a raid group and then make that the difficult part and the rest are not. Because obviously there's some more tank-oriented fights that are more difficult. So I wonder if that's the thing. And we just feel that there are probably less that impact healers in that regard.
I think you can make anything a healer fight if you just drop enough healers.
I mean, you don't want more Sulong fights, do you? Right? Like, is that a thing that the healing community wants? Like, do you want Sulong or Volithria Dreamwalker fights? Like, are those fun or not?
Not really.
It was fun for our resto dreads.
I mean, you're single target healing something. I don't know. I don't like those fights where you have to heal stuff that's not in the group.
Not on your raid frames, yeah.
Not on my raid. Exactly. I use Voodoo, so
I mean,
them, add to target frame, and
it was a cool concept, I guess, because it's like you had to like beat a breath, or you had to click on things, and you had to like coordinate who was going to get the buff or whatever. But I want to heal my raid group. I don't want to be like, oh, we heal you, so you have less health, like on the boss. It's just it was weird.
Well, that's
it's not really the definition of what I want in a healer fight. I want a fight to be challenging. I don't want it to be like, what the hell, like the entire way through every single boss encounter in a tier. But there should definitely be moments where it's a little bit more than just, okay, let's pre-plan when we're using cooldowns. It needs to be more than that for it to really be interesting for a healer.
Right. That's what I've always wondered about, if healers liked the healer fights. And I guess it's very flip-floppy.
I mean, like, best fight for healing, Blast Furnace in Blackrock.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff to do. There's so much going on. There's, like, predicting the damage as it's happening.
I don't know. I was mind controlling half the time.
I didn't have to do that.
See, that's why I liked the fight, because there wasn't a disc priest for that part of the encounter.
Because the priest was doing something else, and you that's what it was.
I have something to do for once. Yeah.
There it is. That's what it was. Yeah.
And then they nerfed it to the floor.
Yeah, now you don't have to. Yeah, it's just.
I didn't have to mind control anymore, so.
Yeah. Which.
Got this back.
We as a community sort of asked for more of those old school mechanics. And then we get it, and it just didn't feel like it worked because of the way the game balance was anyway. So, and I mean, to the grind anyway, so that was short-lived.
I don't know, I kind of always enjoyed the I can't actually remember the name, in Nextremus, where you're also mind controlling. I really enjoyed that. I don't know why, but it was fun. Resuvius, there you go.
The Death Knight
I feel like they just, like, at BlizzCon, they were like, yeah, 20 man, one raid size, so we're going to put in all these really cool class-specific things that you have to do. And they're like, shit, we forgot. We forgot. Yeah. What do we do? They're like, oh, just make a mind control things. We've done that before. Mm. Yeah. I figured there was going to be more class-specific stuff where it's like, oh, hey, you need 2 of X class because it's expected that you'll have 2, like, boomkins for whatever reason.
Well, that's that.
Oh, we had boomkins.
Mythic, mythic,
right?
Boomkins reign supreme over the balconies. Rogues reign supreme over soaking the smash damage. Yep.
Useful for nothing except that.
Except that. Yep. All right. How about BRF itemization? Let's get into some spec-specific things and talk some numbers a little more now. So tier 17, the Soul Priest's Raiment, kind of like a really lackluster set name. Sorry.
Lackluster sets.
So you're looking at Holy Priest. Your 2 set bonus is your Prayer of Mending jumps to 4 additional targets. And then when you Prayer of Mending with your 4-piece, you have a 20% chance to gain a stack of Serendipity. Jack, good, bad, ugly are these set bonuses?
I dig them. I love them. Serendipity, if you guys know, it reduces the cost of heal and Prayer of Healing, and it speeds up the cast. So it's fantastic because a lot of times one of the ways to really get Serendipity was taking Surge, but you lose out on the mana regen of either Mindbender or Solace, or you're be casting, you know, Binding Heal or Flash Heal, and those are very expensive. So early on in the tier, when you're not getting those amazing stealth buffed Spirit Trinkets from Blackhand Blast Furnace, it was awesome. Like, it's still awesome because you're able to weave it in anyway, and it's a heal increase anyway to be casting Prayer of Mending. So it's nice. It's passive.
Jumping ahead,
it opens up more Prayer of Healing use, so it's great.
I didn't want to like jump to the talents specifically, but does the 2-piece like additional bonus and the extra bounces actually work for Words of Mending, the talent?
Yep, and that's insane as well.
So it works on the talent. Okay, neat.
And you can stack up Prayer of Mending 14 stacks on the tank's pre-pull and just go ham.
What offset piece do you take, or do you take all 5?
The Helm.
Offset
off
Helm.
Blackhand.
Alrighty.
Well, ideally. If something's not Warforged, like, I'm still using the chest off Imperator because it's Warforged. I don't remember if it's a socket or not. But yeah, it's so weird to have, like, a perfect BIS list in reality because of the...
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
But if you could, you take the Offset Helm.
Yeah, Offset Helm.
Okay. How about Discipline now? Your 2-piece penance channels for 1 additional second and generates 1 stack of Evangelism. Alright. And your 4-piece is activating Archangel equals the mana cost of Prayer Healing reduced by 50% for 6 seconds. So, like, that makes sense because when you activate Archangel, you get the crit Prayer of Healing. Now it costs half mana. But are these worthwhile? The penance additional 1 second, do you have to actually channel for the full extra 1 second to gain the stack of Evangelism, or what, Jinze?
No, you get it the moment you cast it. So you could technically just cast and break it off immediately, get you 2 stacks if you're doing it offensive. So... honestly though, it's a nice set for 2 set. It's really nice. I went for that immediately. So I ran with that until Blackhand, and then somewhere after already killing Blackhand, I also got the 4 set. But the main reason I got the 4 set is because I could, not because I wanted to.
Yeah,
right.
Like, it was there, so why not pick it up? I didn't get the tier pieces before because they all went to DPS, of course. Right. And then the moment I got it, I mean, I'm losing 1 piece on Mastery, and I can cope with that if I get the 4 set instead. So I use Hands right now, and the only reason I use Hands as an offset piece is because it's Warforged, and otherwise, just the head or the hands, whichever you have Warforged, and just, I don't know, go back to dice rolling again or something.
Yeah.
I think the problem with 4-piece, otherwise, if you were going for it without, just for the hell of it part, is that you have to cast your Empowered basically straight away if you want to use
6 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, if you can squeeze 2 in, you can, and sometimes even 3 if you have Bloodlust. You get really lucky, but otherwise it's just, okay, I have Archangel, quickly cast it. You know, it's gone. Maybe it's not a great moment to cast your Prayer of Healing at all. Maybe you want to save that, but you can't because you have that buff and you want to use it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Would you ever? Is that a good coupling for Divine Aegis then? Like, is that a good use for it? I suppose.
Well, sometimes I would just not use it because I know that later on I'm going to need that empowered. I want it for that moment, so I save it. But otherwise, I'm looking at the giant tell me when buff on my screen, and I think, oh, I got to cast it. I got to cast this empowered Archangel. So I just do. And honestly, in the end, it doesn't really matter because you are stacking Divine Aegis somewhere, and if you do it on the right group, it's going to get used, but you lose the healing portion of it, which is, it's just, well, it's minor, but I still hate it.
It sounds like they're not too. So, like, obviously, like the discipline 2 piece is better than the 4. The 4 is situational. At least, this is one thing that is gonna make Skylar all mad. At least you can control your set bonuses, and you can actually hold Archangel and use it on a certain part of an encounter that's coming up, instead of like, oh, it procced. Oh my God, heal things. And then if you miss it, then you're like, oh crap. Or if you're falling down and it procs on Blackhand, you're like, yay. Right, Skylar? Yeah?
That's all I've got for that.
They're crying.
I mean, that's what healers want. They want to be able to control their use. Or when you're just stacking serendipity charges, like you can just use serendipity when you want to.
When I want to. There's
that's
not
both,
like a penalty.
That's positives. Okay.
Yeah, RNG for healers is rough.
Worst.
Right.
Not good.
Not good. Fair enough. So stat stuff now. Let's do some stat stuff and then talk about 6.2 for a little bit. Holy, again, we'll go back up in Holy Discipline. So your mastery is Echo of Light, which direct healing spells and multi-strikes heal for an additional 10% over 6 seconds. And your stat priority for your attunement stat is called Divine Providence. And you get 5% more multi-strike from stats, and you increase your all damage and healing and absorbs by your multi-strikes by 20%. So just your multi-strike to the bonus of that. So is that, like, how does the mastery and the attunement work, Jack? Good?
Multi-strike's fantastic. You really start, like, the multi-strike's always going to be first. It's just so good. Multi-strike everywhere. After that, it kind of, there's always debate. With the Tier 17 stuff, you're already geared towards casting more direct healing spells, which will benefit from your masteries, of course. So your Prayer of Mending, you're getting serendipity stacks, you'll be casting more Prayer of Healing, some heal on the side, you know. So you're already going to be benefiting from that stuff a lot more, and it gears your healing more towards that. Sure. So mastery gets better. Haste and mastery are always very close. So I think with this tier, it's geared a little bit more towards mastery. And then haste and crit versatility or whatever. So
yeah,
next year's gonna be kind of interesting.
I mean, it does make sense that, because usually in some regard, crit is a big kind of it's obviously random, but it seems like you really can kind of control, since you have so much extra multi-strike benefit for Holy, and that works for like everything, right? So all the hots, Holy, circle of healing, all that good stuff. How does
the instant healing out of renew but not the ticks afterwards? Stuff like that.
Good. So what are the stat priority again? He said multi-strike.
Multi-strike, then mastery, haste are pretty close. Mastery's a little bit higher just because of the spell usage, but a lot of it will depend on spell usage. So a lot more Holy Priests who are weaving in a lot more Binding Heal, a lot more Prayer Healing will benefit a lot more from their mastery. But if you're just spamming Renew, Circle Heal like you were very, very early in the expansion when that was like what you could afford to do, then haste was a lot stronger because you're reducing GCD a little bit and you're getting Circle Heal back faster.
Okay.
And Circle Heal is the best thing ever.
Right.
It is amazing.
Right. Alrighty. So discipline-wise, yours, obviously this is a really great mastery. So shield discipline increases the potency of all damage absorption spells by XX%, and then all healing spells by X%. So real quick, is it half? Is it always going to be half?
Yeah.
Jinze?
It is.
Always half. Okay.
It is half.
And then your stat priority, your attunement stat is Enlightenment, which increases the critical effect of Prayer of Healing by 10%.
Yay.
And 5% more crit from all sources. So how do those two work together, and then what are your stat priorities for discipline?
The way they work together is not. They actually said, earlier, it's like, we want to make the achievement stats great for everyone, make it the go-to stat. And I'm just looking at these things and I'm saying, no, you're not. Either you're going to change our attunement to mastery, or you're going to make crit basically Mr. Pandaria like again. Because right now, nothing's changing in our rotation. We're still going for mastery first, always. We're still going for Milk Strike next, haste until comfortable, and on to crit and versa. I mean, we're not changing anything. And I'm kind of salty about that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really salty about that.
How does
more salt?
More salt.
I want to do something else.
How does crit interact with shielding though? Does it actually have anything to do with it?
You can crit. But I mean, right now we're not stacking enough crit to make that reliable. In Mist, the end of Mist, we had so much crit. Everything we did would crit basically. So but we don't have that right now. And if you want to go for just a crit build, you're sacrificing so much mastery that your shields are this, and then you drop the mastery and then they're this, but you crit and sometimes they're this. It's like I don't see the point.
So how does it go again? You said mastery first, and then
I'm going mastery, multi-strike, haste until comfortable, obviously spirit somewhere in here as well, and then crit and versatility. You don't really want those on your gear if you can help it. So just go for whatever has mastery.
So both priests don't want crit or verse then, basically.
No.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
But versatility is the new hotness, though.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Oh, so good.
One thing when you talked about spirit, Holy will be wanting more and more spirit, especially when fights get more and more bursty, because you're pumping out extra binding heal, circle heal, like circle heal glyph and stuff like that is more and more expensive. But to actually be able to top people off quickly, that's what you need. So you'll be running a lot more spirit.
Right. Okay. Oh, chat's bringing up the input lag mastery echo of light thing. Jack, do you want to talk about that for just a moment? Is that even a thing to worry about anymore?
Okay. I'm sorry when they brought that up.
Yeah.
Those hot fixes. Oh my god.
It's
But that was done. That was done in Mists, right?
So it's just more quickly, I guess.
How does that work with the new server response system, though? Is it even a big deal? Does it even matter anymore? Because the response packetting on the server now is around 30 to 40 milliseconds for one additional. It doesn't packet it. So does it even matter?
Honestly, I don't really think so. Mastery shouldn't be our end all be all or anything like that. It shouldn't be like a wildly effective heal. It should be just like one of those things that's like, oh, it's an innate benefit. You know what I mean? Like you take out the word heals over time or something like that in the mastery, and it's a carbon copy of illuminated healing for paladins. You know what I mean? Which is wild. But I mean, I don't think that's one of the big problems that Holy has. If anything, I think there's bigger fish to fry.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't really know, because, I guess you have a lot kicked into Echo of Light, but really it's just kind of like, almost feels like just like it's just there. How much overall healing does it actually do over the course of an encounter? Does it actually...
It's like, what, 10? It depends on the fight. Like, the more that people are not topped off, the more it does, of course.
Sure.
So, a lot of times, like, for fights like Blast Furnace or something like that, or Black Hand where there's steady damage or anything like that, your master should be doing more and more. But one of the biggest benefits, especially on progression, is Twist of Fate. When you're getting spread on Echo, you're just hitting everybody with it. So the second somebody drops low, well, you already have Echo on them, even if it's going to heal them for like...
Oh, that actually works.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Any kind of heal. Even if it heals for like literally 5, it's still a heal. So
it'll
procs Twist.
Interesting.
You know? So extra 15% increased healing with, no
Circle.
cap to the uptime that you can get to it. It's all about that spread.
Okay. So that has some good beneficial there. And I guess, again, the pigeonholing, I guess, or forcing discipline just to stack mastery and then just spam powered shield, and I guess clarity of will now is just sort of the nature of the beast. There really is nothing else there.
It's so depressing.
It makes me kind of like upset for the healers, right? Because you need it. You need to have absorb because they're way too good. But then it also like hurts other healers. And if you're in a guild that, like, your DPS isn't, like, standing the poopy, so you don't take crap damage, then sometimes, like, all that you need is the shield. So, So, let's see, weapon enchant preference? Is there any differentiating point on this? Which weapon enchants do you both take?
I don't think there's really any change for anyone. I'm just still using Spirit, mostly because if I could take Mastery, but then my Mastery would proc at a time where I'm like, well, what am I going to do with all this Mastery? I can't hold all this Mastery and then do nothing with it. I'd rather just have that extra Spirit on it, since I'm dropping it everywhere else. So.
Right. Jack, same thing?
It kind of depends. At least a lot of the American players that I've been looking at, or when you look at logs, a lot of times they will run with the multi-strike enchant. But a lot of the Europeans actually still run with Spirit. They're running with like as much Spirit as humanly possible. So, personally, I'm not using tons and tons of Binding Heal in my raids, so it's not like wildly unable to afford that stuff. So I will run with multi-strike. I'm running with like 1800 Spirit, so it's not too shabby.
Right.
So it really depends. It depends on your raid group and stuff like that as well, because you want to be able to have effective healing in some of the fights where you really need to pump out more direct healing. Like Thogar, for instance, is a weak fight for Holy in comparison to like Blast Furnace, because you have this burst damage that's coming out.
Right.
So you need to be able to be most effective. You need to top people off quickly. So Glyph Binding Heal, Circle Heal, Prayer Healing, all that stuff can be really expensive, but to afford it, get them extra Spirit.
Well, that you bring up expensive now in the extra Spirit. So Trinket hierarchy in BRF. First off, there's no like high mall remnant shenanigans for healers, right?
No. They're all
not
terrible.
Not after buffing the trinkets.
Yeah, that's right. The 5 IL increase.
Right.
Well, that and the other
even
trinkets
then-
they buffed more, didn't they?
Well, in comparison, I mean, because
That's right. The stealth buffs to the Spirit. You're right.
A lot of healers, I wonder, are still even using the candle. Is that still a thing? Like, is the
I'm
candle...
still using a candle too.
I know, what the heck?
It's honestly, the thing is, I don't need that much Spirit, like I said, and I'm already using one regen trinket. And Everburning Candle has a little bit of regen, but it also has intellect on it, which is kind of hard to come by when intellect plus regen trinket. So, and it's not bad. It still has a lot of int, so it's worth taking. I mean, sometimes I do swap it out for the Blackhand trinket, just for throughput. But that's when I'm really swimming in mana, even more than I already am. And I do intend to change it up the minute I enter Hellfire and I get that delicious shard replacement trinket. So
that's the mana reduction one, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Phylactery, I think it's called.
Be pretty good. Yeah, we'll go into those in a second, though. And then, so, healing to trinket preference, then, like, is there a hierarchy, then? Is this candle still way up there? I mean, where's, like, Chew Toy and the Blackhand one? Like, I guess, is that... If you want to go Spirit heavy, I guess you would go with the candle and Chew Toy, right?
I think that would really be a Holy Priest thing. I think Disc Priests just don't really use it that much.
Right.
Regardless. I think you really need to... I mean, I know monks use all the Spirit trinkets right now. I think maybe Holy Priests do as well. But for me, it's the Chew Toy and the candle still the best.
All the intellect.
All the intellect.
Yeah,
all the
basically.
Intellect.
So what trinkets do you recommend then, Jack? What do you...
Either Blackhand trinket is awesome. It depends on which fight. Like, if you're in, like, 10-minute fights, you're going to want, like, lots and lots of Spirit. So... the Blast Furnace and Blackhand Spirit trinkets are great. The Blackhand Int multi is awesome as well. So right now I'm running with Blast Furnace Spirit multi and Blackhand Int multi. But if I'm in like a fight like Blast Furnace or Blackhand, I'd prefer to have Blackhand Spirit trinket and Blast Furnace the Spirit trinket. So,
is it okay that the BOE like world drop candle though is still so relevant? Because
I'm kind of glad that it is.
Yeah.
Especially after Candlegate, because they're like,
yeah.
But
spend too much gold on that.
Actually relevant, So I think that's actually good that people are making use of it, for better or for worse,
It's not even. I mean, you can replace it with something else. It's not like it's the only option, and if you don't have a candle, you can just go away. I mean, that was kind of the case in High Mall, but it isn't anymore. So it's balanced in that sense. If you can get a trinket from Blackrock, then you're still solid to kill Blackhand eventually. It's just, for some people, it's better. And that's fine.
That sounds all right. Note Master Zosin actually put up, I wanted to make sure that we go over this before I take us on to the patch 6.2 stuff. Comments we had earlier about Revival. Revival doesn't heal more than like Trank or Divine Hem or whatnot. It said that those are just channeled over time, whereas obviously Revival just happens. So people think it heals for more, but it actually doesn't heal for more. The issue is, of course, that's the problem we had. We talked about Resto Druids before. And
Trank just overheals for 80%.
Yeah, you overheal all the time.
D-him, overheal 60%.
Yeah.
Amps other people's stuff. That's great.
I remember testing Fellord Zakun, a.k.a. the Macho Man Randy Savage of Hellfire Citadel. Total badass. And he does some super big AoE damage here and there, and you can Revival counter it immediately. But if you, like, Trank or Divine Hymn, it, like, takes so much time to, like, build the raid back up that other explosions could kill you. That's the problem. But, you know.
It's not even the problem's not even really that. It's more that other people are still healing while you're doing it, as opposed to Revival just sniping everything. But...
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
I remember on Brackensport progression, someone missed a decay, and the only reason, like, everybody had to be 100% health or something like that. We magically survived, and like, boom, instant revival happened. It was just like save the raid. It was amazing.
No, but I think that's the way that revival should be used. I think it should be like a whoopsie daisy button and not like a just count as ability button. Because I feel like the throughput heals are going to also do more because that healer is healing a lot while other healers are still healing. But I wonder if you, because I obviously your healers should be controlled and know when things are happening. But what if your monk wants to snipe the revival and then ruins so many casts of your other healers?
Ruins my Divine Hymn and buffs it.
Revival's only there to snipe the Trank. Like, that's what I do when I'm on my monk. It's like, oh, you're tranking? Not anymore, you're not.
Nope. Good luck on that overheal meter there.
Yeah.
That's what I think that Revival should be. I know that Revival used on, like, Mythic Blackhand progression was always used, like, after the smash, when you fall down both times. Because you just remove that, because you can't obviously Trank when you're falling, or Divine Helm when you're falling. Well, you could have Trank when you were falling back in MOP, if there was a thing, because you had Symbiosis, and you could move while casting. Rip Symbiosis.
When you weren't giving that to the tank.
Dude, Fox, when you fall is the best.
Right.
People fighting over the Resto Shaman.
Yeah. So, on the horizon, patch 6.2, we'll talk about this for a little bit before we take a move on and talk about talents. Tier 18 set for Holy. Your 2-piece is you gain 2% haste for 15 seconds when POM bounces up to 3 stacks. So, like, I don't know, this sounds like 6% haste sounds like really lame, unless I'm reading this wrong. But I think
it's pretty good.
4 pieces, Palm has a 10% chance to split when it bounces, hitting an additional target nearby. It's like, Jack, is this like, what?
4 pieces is really lackluster.
Your multi-strike can multi-strike while you're multi-striking.
Yeah. 2 pieces is actually pretty good. It's not, like, amazingly fantastic when you look at, like, some of the other healers and what they're getting, but the haste is good. It really speeds up everything. It's really noticeable, the haste levels that you're getting. Haste is a great stat, as is. If they gave me, like, multi, it would, like, oh my god, it'd be amazing. But they did not.
What is 6% haste, though? Like, that's all you get.
It's, like I said, it's not the best thing ever, but it's pretty good. It's really, really good. Well, sorry. I won't say it's really, really good. It's solid. 4-piece is, like, a bastard version of Tier 17's 2 set. It's actually, like, worse. Because it averages out to, like, what, 1 extra bounce every 10. So your baseline palm is 5 stacks, so you cast 2 palms and you'll get 1 extra bounce. It has the benefit of being, like, more efficient because you could just be wasting some palm stacks in downtime, but at the same time, it's really happy chance.
Is that why you're getting the Archimon trinket so you can spam
we've
main
gotten to this
target?
point.
Yeah, I'm doing the Archimon Holy Trinket. Because if
we have words about that.
Well, I'm gonna do both yours, and then I'll move on to Jinze's stuff about discipline. So yeah.
You're getting me heated here.
Yeah. So yeah, but is that why? Is that
no? It is
the
not.
extra haste for heal spam? Are you sure?
If we would, I wish we had like a paladin kind of trinket where like it's best in slot forever on every fight all the time. The situation of every single fight that they will use it on. Nah, we have the. When am I gonna be hard casting a 3-second heal? Like, you know how long that is? It's what the druid.
It's an eternity.
I remember when Boomkins were complaining about was it Starfire, Moonfire, Sun, something, whatever it is that's huge cast. And then they're just dying to like the red stuff on Tectus because they're like, I'm still casting this. Like 3 seconds is insane. Somebody else is gonna top it off first.
So, But you get the
And if
haste.
they don't, that person's dead. So.
Yeah, or they're
But
dead
the
already.
haste.
That's right.
But the haste.
The haste is not going to counteract it.
If people were wondering.
So the Holy Priest trinket.
Yeah, I was gonna say it, but you can go for it.
Yeah, if we didn't say it, is the mana cost and cast time are increased by like normal's like 49%, and the heal increase is 99%.
On heal.
Yeah, on heal is the power increase. It's ridiculously long cast, and it scales up. Like the better the trinket you have, the more of the mana cost you have, the more of the cast increase that you have. Oh, and this is only in Sanctuary Chakra.
Only in Sanctuary.
So the biggest thing is like the anti-synergy. So you have Words of Mending and you have Sanctuary Chakra. Both of these benefit instant heals, constant casts, stuff like that. So if you're constantly renew spamming or something like that, that reduces the cooldown of your circle heal and it gives you more Words of Mending stacks. So when you're casting 3-second long heals and you must be in Sanctuary Chakra, like what are you reducing the cooldown of your circle heal by? Like maybe 2 seconds, whereas you'd be reducing it by like 5 to 6 seconds on a 12-second cooldown if you're just renew spamming.
It feels like the Archimon trinket for Holy needs to be more of like a bonus to all the different types of chakra stances, so you get a little more choice and power and boost in each of those. This seems like shit. Give Holy something. What we can do? I don't know. So it really feels kind of bad. So
a lot of times, like if you take Divine Insight, that's one thing that really benefits just spam casting heal. So you're like, okay, if I'm going to be taking a trinket and I'm going to be dropping 400 int or like 600 spirit to have this trinket, then I better be spam casting heal the whole time to get value out of it, right? So I'm going to be taking Divine Insight. Well, a lot of times you're going to be sitting in Yellow Chakra, the single target chakra, because of the fact that you're really not gaining much circle heal benefit. So you might as well be refreshing your renews, or you'll be like buffing up your heal a little bit with the Holy Word, I guess, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just anti-synergy on anti-synergy.
Gross.
I'm not going to use it in the current iteration.
Discipline-wise, then, so your 2-piece for Discipline is your Penance damage and healing is increased by 12% for 15 seconds each time it deals damage or heals, and it stacks 6 times.
Yay.
That's a lot of that's still a lot of stacking though. And then each time Penance heals, it has a 50% chance to heal another injured target near your target. So
that would be great if it wasn't a single target spell with a cooldown, which it is.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to take it because I am, but it's not making me jump for joy. I cannot say that.
So 15 seconds though is longer than the cooldown, obviously on.
Yeah.
Penance.
You can keep it up. It's basically a permanent buff to your penance.
But then that's sort of then that brings me to the Archimon trinket for Discipline. Your Penance, Flash Heal, and Prayer of Healing. Also grant Naru's Discipline on allies, reducing damage taken by, I think the base value on normal trinket is 3% for 10 seconds. So it obviously will scale up on the heroic and the mythic versions, but I mean, you're gonna be spamming Penance anyway, right? So...
Yeah, spamming it. That would assume I'm using the trinket, which I'm not. So that kind of negates that point. I mean, with the way people are gonna heal in the next tier, especially, I mean, you have the paladins and you even have the monks after they get the gear for it. There's not going to be any tank healing for me to do. Who am I going to penance? I'm going to penance anyone. That one guy who's standing over in the fire, he's doing it wrong anyway. Why would I penance him?
You're gonna
die and get a battle rest or something.
You're gonna stand in the fire. You dip low. You penance yourself to proc a twist, and then you shield spam.
That would assume I'm using Twist of Fate. Oh boy, no, it's like Blizzard basically sat around a table and said, "Hey guys. So these Discipline Priests, they're just using shields all the time. We don't want them to do that. You know what? We're going to buff their penance indirectly. They'll all want to use it, but it has a cooldown. Doesn't matter. Do it anyway. Build a tier set around it. Give them a trinket around it." And then they did all that. And then we basically looked at it and said, nah. And that was our discussion.
That you need to take into account for both of these is looking at like the Archimon tank trinkets or the Archimon DPS trinkets. Like they're direct bonuses, of course, to how you would handle the class or how your rotation works or whatever. Like the enhancement one like makes my class in the next tier. But the healing ones, you lose all spirit, all int, all procs, all everything for like such a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
It's fine if they want to make them situational, but the trinkets are not made equally. They're not made equally situational or anything like that. When you have, like, I keep on going back to the Paladin one because that's the other class that I play. So I'm just like, oh my god, this is gonna be the best thing ever. Like this makes Holy Paladins even awesomer. I mean, it makes me slightly forget about the Holy Shock nerfs, you know?
Somewhat.
Slightly. It's still gonna be pretty bad. But yeah.
How does that...
something I'm not gonna use.
I don't want to harp on this too much longer because I want to get to the talents, of course. But like, Skylar, like what is the Resto Druid one again? Does it actually do? How do these trinkets work if you lose so much else that you can just get on other trinkets that are in the tier? Like the mana cost reduction one. Like what?
I mean, the Resto one is your Rejuve, Life Bloom, and Genesis ticks have a 2% chance to multi-strike. Oh boy. I mean, it's not bad. We've seen it before, but I mean, I don't know. It's with stats. I mean, I haven't looked at the math. I haven't really been doing a lot of PTR. I've been kind of like avoiding WoW for a little bit. Because I haven't actually taken a break in forever. But I'm not really excited for them, really, for any of the healing classes. I don't think any of them really looked that stellar when you could pick up like primary stats otherwise, unless it does like an insane amount of healing. But I don't think Flourish was like, it wasn't that big of my healing.
Yeah, I just wonder if like the healer ones should also have like Spirit or Multi-Strike or some Int or something on them, because you lose everything. And there's no reason why, honestly, you could even... Like, I would argue this Discipline one on, like, a Heroic Warforged level, maybe if it's, like, an 8 or 9% reduction in damage, would be really good on your tanks, right? I would be sure. Because that, of course, stacks with damage mitigation on the tank itself, and then shield stacking, yada, yada, yada. But, like, the whole
even then,
one,
though...
Like, yeah, even then, it's hard to, like, pass up. What do the new trinkets have on them? Like, 400-ish range of a secondary?
If you just throw... Let's say we're doing cow again. If you throw a cow on them instead of that penance, it's basically the same effect if you have those extra stats. So there's no point right now.
Right. And you can have stronger cows with a trinket that has passives on it.
And all your powered shields will actually benefit from all that intellect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Because you're dropping how much intellect? Like if you drop your candle, it's like what, 360? 359? Something or other?
334, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's such a weird situation with these trinkets. Because I think all of the DPS ones are good, but the healing ones, I don't know, man. I think
the problem is, at the very least for the priest, I don't know how about the other hidden classes, but for the priests at least, it's Blizzard trying to make us heal differently than we are. I mean, we're all complaining that Discipline priests are complaining we have nothing to do with, but Shield and Holy Priests don't have any good single target, and then Blizzard goes, you know what, we're going to fix it by giving you these trinkets. It doesn't fix anything.
Jinze, the penance bonus technically buffs Atonement too, right?
Oh, yes, Atonement! Oh, man, I hadn't thought of that. Let me just get that trinket.
Yeah. What about that Spirit Shell, though?
Yeah. Okay, let's not talk about that. There's no Spirit Shell in my talent.
Right, exactly.
Doesn't exist.
Alrighty, well, I'm gonna move us along real quick and talk about some communities behind the scenes and some things that you may not know about, or some things you need to know about. And then we'll do talents and stuff after this one. Of course, if you need World of Warcraft news you don't already have MMO Champion desktoped and bookmarked, then you should. They are doing the whole big preview right now for Here's the Storm coming out, but obviously outside of that, they cover all of the huge trackers, and they put up all of the set bonus changes and buffs changes with all the blue trackers and the patch notes, stuff like that. And the website's lagging right now because it's such a huge page loading for me right now. But MMO-Champion, MMO Champion, they're linked down below the stream. Definitely check them out. They, of course, cover all the Overwatch things and anything Blizzard game-oriented. A couple other MMO stuff pops up here and there. But see, here's one of the recolored boars, friends. Yeah. You want to find out about all the recolored mounts coming in the next patch, then have MMO Champion bookmarked. Additionally, if you're looking for raids or in a realm where you're like looking to come back to raiding at 6.2, which I suggest because Hellfire Starter looks pretty damn good, openraid.org, their link is also below the stream, is like the best place to build your armory, build your profile on here, find raids that are going on that are scheduled within your time frame. There's also a lot of events and things that they've been doing lately. They had a huge big St. Jude Play Live kickoff recently. They just had the huge transmog competition with Michelle Morrow. So a whole lot of stuff happening on Open Raid. And hundreds of raids are being scheduled all the time for there. Meet people on there, maybe find guilds. People always ask me, like, where can I go to find a raiding guild in my time zone? I think the best start, you can go to like an open raid and go meet people and raid things and stuff. And do old raid content, do transmog runs, do who knows what else. There's a bajillion, so many things. Also, if you've missed any of our past episodes of Final Boss, you can always find us on our YouTube link down below. All the extra side content we produce, the after show, which is the live Q&As. We're also on iTunes and Stitcher. Just search for Final Boss TV. But all of our past episodes are right on here. There's Azortharian right now with Hunter stuff, and we talked to Shuttle and Relil for if you want to talk about some more Paladin healing Paladin salt, just right there. There is a lot of episodes of this show. This is episode 83, so there are 82 episodes beforehand. Tons and tons and tons of episodes on our YouTube page. I'll take a moment real quick to thank one of our sponsors of the show, which is Designed by Humans. If you ever wanted to buy and own and wear some of the Final Boss in your life, we have shirts and tank tops, and we just released baseball tees and racerback tank tops for women, and hoodies and sweatshirts and phone cases and art prints. And actually, I think I just saw Sko from Method gave away one of the mythic world first Blackhand shirts in a little giveaway on his channel, actually. I'll have to retweet that later. But all of our shirts are right there. I mean, the best one, of course, this lists by popularity, and our most popular shirt, I wonder why. Just a little bit of something that I'm poking at right here. But you can, of course, buy any of those, and of course, all of the proceeds from any of our affiliate stuff goes to supporting the show and working on hardware upgrades and paying graphic artists and working toward the War Crimes project. So links are down below, and you can check those out there. But all right, let's talk about talents and things. And real quick, Skylar, if you want a bathrobe style shirt, we need a design for it, sir. All right.
I need a bathrobe, just a bathrobe with your logo on it.
A bathrobe with the logo on it. All right.
Or a bathrobe with a blame style style I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
I would wear that to BlizzCon. Make it happen. I'll wear it at BlizzCon.
I'll talk to our DBH rep. If he's in chat right now, maybe he'll. Bathrobes. Good idea. Alrighty. And I gotta reload the talent calculator because Chrome crashed or Flash crashed. That's fun. So talent-wise, I hope there are some choices here, because it's sort of a trending scheme that there are not a lot of options to go for in level 100 talents, and it makes me really sad, because
prepare to cry.
Oh, damn it!
Get ready. Get a box of tissues.
Well, we'll do Holy first, as we've been doing this whole time. So Holy has Clarity of Purpose, which is a 40-yard range. 2.5 second cast, basically a super powered prayer of healing, more or less. You have Words of Mending. Words of Mending is your healing and shielding spells. Also grant stacks of Words of Mending, and when you get 10, you poop out another prayer of mending, just like whee. And then Saving Grace, which was like really awesome, and then they nerfed it to the ground, and now it's like it's the instant heal. But when you instantly heal someone for a whole lot, you nerf yourself for 8 seconds, and it stacks up to 6 times. So, I don't... Holy-wise, Jack, walk me through what choices and why, if there are some, sir.
Not really any choices. Words of Mending all day. That's kind of all you have.
Really?
There's too many drawbacks to everything else. You go to Clarity of Purpose, you need to make sure everybody's stacked. Like, people have been asking a long time to get rid of the archaic group-based prayer of healing, for better or worse. So that is their answer to doing that with this talent, but it doesn't do
10
enough.
10 yards. 10 yards is nothing.
Well, it doesn't heal for that much. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Compared to, like, especially when you have the extra synergy with your current tier 17 two-piece, where even your Words of Mending, Prayer of Mending is a 9 stack.
Right.
It's insane. I know. Saving Grace, like, the drawbacks to it, I mean, don't outweigh the benefits of Wampum. Too good.
Yeah, so. Even though Saving Grace heals for like 1,000% of your spell power, but then, yeah, just Words of Mending, too good, doesn't require any extra mana, doesn't have the drawbacks, so Holy, Words of Mending.
It's with that Sanctuary synergy of just, reducing the cooldown of Circle Heal even more, so.
Right.
Or we're doing that anyway because you're Renew spamming.
Sure. So Discipline has one change. So obviously still has Words of Mending, obviously still has Saving Grace, level 100 talents, but then you gain Clarity of Will, which is a cast time base super bubble, which shields the target of protective ward, absorbing a whole lot, and you can actually cast this twice to have the full stacked amount? Am I correct?
Kind of 3 times.
3 times, okay.
Yeah, it's not full stack if you do 2 times, unless you crit.
Now, that...
Which you don't.
To caveat that real quick, there's nothing on this tooltip anywhere that says you have to cast it multiple times to absorb an amount of actual, like, max shielding. So what is the hidden max shield amount, and what... It's like...
It's actually linked to your own HP. Like, you can only shield as much as you have health points.
Okay.
So you need to gear your Discipline Priest to get bigger shields.
Yeah, give the...
Obviously.
Stam flasks, obviously, stam flasks.
Obviously, yeah, no. I've been doing it.
So, choices for discipline? I mean, is it Clarity of Will, all the things, or can you actually use Words of Mending too?
It kind of depends on what you're doing and your healing comp. I do have to say right now that I get a little mad every time someone goes on the forum and says, yeah, Discipline Priest should all take Words of Mending because it's the best. You should take Clarity. It's awful. You're padding meters. When it's really the other way around. When you're taking Clarity of Will, you're going to take it with the intention to save people's lives, to bypass something or the other.
Mechanics, yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to take it just because you need to tank heal, because you have Paladin for that. If you 2 Paladins for that, you're sitting there stealing people's healing. So yeah, then you're a scumbag. But otherwise, you're using it to heal someone, to make someone survive something they're not really supposed to survive. Like the Boomkin thing that I said, and the Maidens thing. So if you're not taking Clarity on progression, which I have done for the entirety of progression, you're basically doing it wrong, because you're not the throughput healer. You're the shielding healer. And if you want people to heal up the raid damage, get a Holy Priest. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yes.
Boo!
Yeah. Boo! Oh.
I just needed a boo in there, sorry.
If you have to choose, if you only have a priest, then take a Holy Priest for that instead. Because this priest isn't going to heal up your raid. You're not there to throw around Words of Mending. That's not your job. You're not good at it. It heals for 11k a tick, I think. I mean, someone is taking damage and he takes your Prayer of Mending and he's like, yeah, all the healing it didn't do. Like, what is the point? You're just wasting a talent. So I don't see it. You should just be taking Clarity of Will a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not going to touch anyone with tank healing, if you're not going to touch anyone with high damage mechanics, yeah, sure, you can take those Words of Mending. Just because.
Chat room wants to. Is Clarity of Will 75% of your max HP is the shield cap? Is that what?
Yes, I believe it is. Yeah.
But then someone asked if it was 60% of your. So now, see, where can you find that amount?
I think my cap is something like 270k ish right now, and I'm bisgeared, so make of that what you will. I don't actually have the exact number for it because it doesn't really matter. You're not gonna stack it to the max ever. Almost, you're gonna do 2 casts like you said, and then it's fine. You should be able to survive everything.
That's what I mean. I wonder if the gain for 3 casts is not as much as just having 2.
It isn't, no. I mean, even on Maidens, I don't do that. I do 2 cows, a Power Word Shield, and then I move on.
Right.
So.
Okay. Fair enough. I guess that sort of settles it. So Holy is pretty much Words of Mending, all the things, and Discipline is Clarity of Will, all the things. And if I guess you don't want to deal with Clarity, then you can take Words of Mending as Discipline, but it's not. Shimmer.
It's meter whoring. That's what it is.
Right. I'm gonna bring up the level 75 tier real quick because they actually have a change. You obviously both have Twist of Fate. Which after, well, you both have Twist of Fate, and then you both have Power Infusion. Holy has Divine Insight, which it works with Prayer of Healing and Heal, or Prayer of Healing, Clarity of Purpose and Heal. But you have a 40% chance to make your next Prayer of Mending not trigger its cooldown and jump to a target instantly. So, where does level 75 talent tree come out for Holy, Jack?
It's great. There's a lot of choice in it. I think a lot of it will depend on like your raid group and stuff like that. Twist is awesome for progression, just because of that innate benefit where someone drops low and you have such great spread from already having Echo everywhere that it's great. Like, it's awesome to take. I take that primarily for progression. A lot of times you'll see people taking Power Infusion. Power Infusion is still good on progression, but like the theoretical like maxes that you can get of Twist are so amazing. So a lot of times I will take Twist, personal preference. Power Infusion can be awesome for when you are doing like farm content and stuff and you're not anticipating people dropping that low.
Okay.
So, and Divine Insight, I think the only fight I've seriously taken it for, I've taken it on all of them, and it's like it lags a little bit behind on a lot of fights, it feels like. But I do like it a lot for Iron Maidens because there's nothing going on. So
I mean, you have Divine Insight is sort of like a passive where you can like react to it to get another Prayer of Mending off based off healer Prayer of Healing cast. Power Infusion obviously is a cooldown, and Twist of Fate is a passive that reacts based on healing other people when they drop low. So
or you self-proc it.
Or you self-proc.
You stand in fire and
scumbag.
Yeah. Hey,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta
save lives.
Exactly.
You know, you guardian spirit yourself. You stand in the slag on Black Hand. You know, so you proc Twist of Fate and then you him and just great.
So then, Discipline, the change in this tier is Spirit Shell, which used to be baseline, as many Discipline Priests want it back, and many healers go, don't do that. So, what does the 75 tier work for Discipline? I mean, how good is Spirit Shell, I guess, first, and then are there choices to pick here? Jinze,
there are no choices. I'm sorry. I wish there were choices, but we don't have any. You go for Power Infusion, and that's that. I mean, Twist of Fate doesn't proc from shields. And you're not going to take that glyph that turns part of your shield into a heal, because I will hunt you down. And the Spirit Shell is just... It's expensive. You're not casting Prayer of Healing anyway. Why would you use it for Spirit Shells? Because you want to lose the mana? Because you just really hate mana in your life? I mean, I don't get it. Power Infusion is just best. Spam more shields.
I was wondering if Spirit Shell became viable with the current... Prayer of Healing reduction in mana cost, but then it's so situational. You only get it once every 6 seconds, so... It's a raid cooldown. You have to play around it, but just not worth it. You can probably get as much benefit out of that on a 2-minute cooldown when you know you're going to do it, because you can reduce the mana cost of POH definitively and cast many of them during Power Infusion, right? I guess.
Well, you're popping Power Infusion, and you can spam a bunch of shields on a bunch of people really fast. They're bigger shields to begin with, and you're also not taking the healing of the HP pools away from other people as much.
Oh, look at you trying to be diplomatic.
It's because you're staggering it. Like, okay. I'm gonna take Black Hand as an example, right?
Right.
You get the demolition part. You run around in a circle. I'm putting Prayer of Healing on everyone, and then the people that I'm not really getting to yet are for other healers. I make it sound really bad.
That's why I always track Power and Shield on my raid frames.
Gosh.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it's better. I think it's better for everyone that we don't have Spirit Shell. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Alrighty then. Level 45 talents, I guess to a lesser degree, have a weird interaction. They're both like mana oriented, because you get whenever you healing spells or smite, you make a next flash heal instant cast or cost no mana, and you can get 2 charges of Surge of Light. Obviously, Mindbender is super Shadow Fiend. And Powered Solace is super Holy Fire, which gives you mana back when you strike things with it offensively. So, Holy, what do you think, Jack? Level 45s?
A lot of it depends on the fights. In terms of raw, I'm looking at it right now. In terms of raw spirit, like how much you are going to be getting out of it, Mindbender outpaces Solace. Gosh, where is it? There's a certain haste break point, and I cannot for the life of me find it.
Oh, because the more haste you have...
The more haste you have, the more swings that the Mindbender will do for you. But the best way to kind of think about it is...
So that tier 18 bonus, then.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, man.
Okay.
I mean, Mindbender's going to be the better option once you get more gear anyway, because of the fact that, like, if you're using Solace perfectly, it's a 10-second cooldown, so you're doing 6 casts a minute to regen your mana.
That's true.
Whereas you spend 1 cast a minute for your Mindbender, and then those other 5s are spending mana. So if you're on some godforsaken long fight and you have no spirit because you have bad gear or itemization or something, or you spam too hard, like Solace is a good way of like following your ABCs, always be casting, and pacing yourself a little bit. But in general, once you have the good itemization, you're actually good at pacing yourself. You know, Mindbender's just gonna be overall better. With Surge, a lot of times it's great for a lot of shorter fights. So like Aura Gorger, Hans and Franz, Flamebender, when you need that instant kind of healing. If you can afford it for Thogar, it's great. The biggest thing that like Holy, in my opinion, struggles with is the direct heals, like the quick direct burst kind of healing. So Surge is great for supplementing that, and because Hans and Franz, Aura Gorger, Flamebender are shorter fights in general, you're able to make up for that because of the fact that you take Surge D-Star and you're just able to, you know, be useful, you know? You're able to be useful and, like, you know, switch into single target chakra, like when people are getting hit by dogs and stuff like that, and be able to top them off quick.
Fair enough. So how does the level 45 tier look for discipline?
It kind of depends on your tier set in a minute. I mean, we started off with using Solace. Solace is actually really good. Solace is solid. Yeah, puns. But then the moment you get the tier set, you don't really need it to build your evangelism anymore. So you're just going to go with Mindbender and kind of scrap Holy Fire out of your rotation unless you really have nothing to do.
Right.
And they recently changed Surge of Light to proc from Power Word Shield, I think, and Clarity of Will, I think, as well. But that still doesn't make it any good because you're not really going to get that many surges off, not like Holy does, because Holy has so many more ways of proccing it. So it's just better for them. And I mean, we want to spam shield, so we want that mana, we want that Mindbender off. I mean, it's not really a close tie with Surge of Light and all the other talents. I think in the next tier, we're actually going back to Power Word Solace because we're losing that 2 set, obviously. Yeah, for now, Mindbender, later on Solace, and you're good.
Okay. Well, we'll stay on Discipline for a second real quick. We'll do Cascade, Divine Star, and Halo for Discipline. What level 90 talents are good for Disc and why? I mean, is there choices here? Come on!
There is somewhat of a choice. Halo is kind of viable. I have to say that I always run with Cascade, but Cascade has a small problem, which I think is more of a bug, I'm not sure, that it also bounces off of pets, which loses its bounce.
Ooh, really?
And that's just, yeah, you don't want that. So if you have a ton of pets in there, you want to probably use Halo. And if you can position yourself properly, then it's kind of fine. It's not terrible, but overall the 90 talents aren't as strong as they used to be to begin with.
Sure.
And they don't have any synergy anymore since we're not stacking crit either. So yeah, I usually run with Cascade.
Cascade sort of works well in the quote unquote rotation for Discipline because you kind of get it off with Archangels, so
yeah. But it's also just a fire and forget spell. You can just
exactly
cast it, no problem.
So no Divine Star, huh? No,
no, that's terrible.
All right then. So holy wise, same thing for you, Jack. Cascade, Divine Star, Halo.
One thing to kind of note is your 45s can determine your 90s on some fights.
That's true, sure.
So if you're taking Surge, the best way to be proccing your Surge is D-Star. Just such a short cooldown. Run it through. It hits like twice, and it's very consistent with that. So you're able to quickly proc it from that. But you got to make sure you're actually running it through a clump of people. So if everyone's spread out all over the place on Gruul, and you have Surge D-Star, you're like trying to find get clumped together real quick. Let me throw the star and So a lot of times with Mindbender, I'll be using Cascade with it. If people are, I've yet to find a fight at least in Blackrock where everyone's stacked and I'm not taking Surge. Because I haven't found a fight where I'm taking Mindbender and D-Star. That's kind of weird to me. Right. It'll be Surge D-Star or Mindbender Cascade usually.
Okay. No Halo though. Still no Halo.
Nah.
Not for Holy.
No, not so much. One big thing about Cascade that's really nice is the echo that it leaves behind on everybody.
Oh,
but
that's
true.
There you go.
And it's just super, super nice for that. I mean, Halo will leave it behind, but it's a bigger cooldown.
Okay.
So, and then going back to what I was talking about with the spread, there's kind of a little. It's not so much of a nerf, but it's just the change with how Cascade works, where it's actually bouncing to the same targets again. It can hit multiple targets.
Because it's not completely a smart heal anymore, like it used to be.
Yeah. Well, no, it just would hit everybody. So now it can hit the same target twice. So you're not blanketing the whole raid in Echo. So you can't have the whole raid covered in Echo right before a demolition or something like that on Blackhand and be assured that you'll proc Twist of Fate.
Okay.
You have to be really, really careful with how you're spreading Echo to make sure if you're taking Twist of Fate, because the most uptime you can get, the better it's going to be for you.
That's true. All right.
So. It's essential.
We are just at and running over time right now, so I want to make sure we talk about glyphs a little bit though. Are there any big glyphs for Holy that you want to bring to the light, Jack?
Biggest thing is Renew. Honestly, by far, that's the one thing that you're going to see on just about every single person playing Holy Priest is Glyph Renew everywhere. It's so good.
Okay.
It's reduces some of the uptime. It's 3 seconds?
3 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, and then it starts healing for 25% more every tick, which is fantastic.
Seems pretty good.
A lot of times you will see Glyph of Circle Heal once people have more mana to work with.
Okay.
So that's it costs like 1,000 more than a Prayer of Healing.
Ooh.
It heals 6 targets, and it heals the 6 targets for more than a Prayer of Healing. So you're always going to be keeping that on cooldown. It's amazing.
Gotcha.
And then it's kind of, you have options with the last one. You know, you could take Deep Wells if you're anticipating your Light Well to actually be doing stuff. So again,
poor Light Well, man.
Progression is pretty good. Like, progression, I guess technically it's a light spring. It jumps to people on its own.
Sure.
I'm not expecting people to click that stuff.
Nope.
You know?
No.
On its own, it can be jumping to people. If you're using Binding Heal Glyph's awesome, but it's also very expensive. So it hits that 3rd target and costs 33% more, 35% more. If you're not using that, Glyph of Fade works. Spirit of Redemption and Redeemer are also ones, so like when you die, you can either last longer or heal for more stuffs.
Right.
I don't really like those because I don't like anticipating dying.
As a raid cooldown?
As my raid cooldown. I've seen people do it, like,
yeah.
I think I did it on our first Darmak kill, I think. Because I was just like, screw it, I'm so I just need to jump in fire and I'll do something here, you know?
Right.
So.
Alrighty then. Discipline glyphs, anything of note, Jinze?
I really only just run with Penance and Holy Fire, always. And then I swap out Weakened Soul for Reflective Shield, kind of depending on the fight.
Ooh, that DPS gain.
Yeah, well, on Butcher, it actually saved us.
Stupid
kill,
Butcher.
So,
oh,
yeah.
Oh, on the tanks?
No.
The bleed targets.
That didn't actually work on the tanks, that Reflective Shield bug, unfortunately.
But all the bleed damage and everybody actually does. Oh my.
Yeah, it was quite good. I was actually amazed at the amount of DPS that added. So that's great. But you can't always use it. Sometimes you need that Weakened Soul glyph. So you can just.
I'll say if you have a Shadow Priest in your raid, I always ask the Discipline Priest never to shield them, so they get their own glyph of Reflective Shield.
Yeah. Yeah, they get really mad at me when I do that. And sometimes I forget. I try to skip all the white frames now. So. But yeah, no, it's only Weakened Soul that's and the Reflective they're mutually exclusive. So
right.
Whichever
that
you
would
like.
be broken if you could have both of them.
Yeah. Reflective Shield all the time. Yeah, exactly. You'd have to take damage for it too, though. So more Standing in Fire. I don't know if that's something I want to do.
Then you can take the Glyph of Redemption then, because you might die.
Oh yeah, good idea.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty. Scott, are you alive over there, buddy? You good?
I'm just waiting for, I guess we'll do it in the after show for me getting to cry about Disc Priest a little bit more.
Yes, we'll say that for the after show. For chat room and for the YouTubers to watch that. But I think it's soapbox time. We'll give it to Jack first. What do you want to leave the Holy Priest community, or the three of you, with before you get out of here?
Biggest thing, like, for Holy Priest, like, a lot of times when I talk to Holy Priest, they're from, like, my time streaming, when everyone's like, wow, I've never seen a Holy Priest actually playing the game before. The biggest thing is just don't lose hope. Like, a lot of times, a lot of Holy Priests I see get pigeonholed into playing it, and they're like, wow, I just wanted to play Disc or something like that. Why do I have to play this? And Holy's not bad. Holy's really good, and I don't think people give it enough credit, especially for its power on progression with Twist of Fate, especially when people are playing it well. You see people like Jazrin who are paving the way, you know? They're leading the charge with it, really. And you still see, what was it, like 5 of the top 10 guilds, I think you said, Jinze?
Yeah.
Brought along Holy Priests? Yeah.
Right.
So when you still see them being in there, you know, it's fantastic. When they go Disc in the top 10 guilds and you're doing double Disc, then it's the end time, and then you run. But for now, don't use your Guardian Spirit. Use it a lot. It is insanely good.
Right.
We were on Blackhand, and I thought the tank was going to die. I Guardian Spirited him. He hits himself with Words of Glory, and I thought he'd lay on hands. He's just like, no, just a Word of Glory.
Pretty good. Not bad.
So.
All right, Jinze, what do you got for the Disc Priest community? Like all 17,000 million of you.
Honestly, I don't think Discipline Priests need a whole lot of encouragement because we're Discipline Priests, so
oh my God.
We're the master race. But other than that, I need to say that people come to me constantly saying, oh, Discipline Priests are so good. Oh, everyone's taking my heals, they're topping meters. And I just want to say that means that your Discipline Priests are, 1, doing it wrong. And 2, you're bringing way too many healers. A Discipline Priest has to realize that you're not really there to top the meters. You're there to make that one person survive using all your shields so all the other healers can do their healing a little more smoothly. And I get that sometimes people look at the meters and say, easy play class or face roar, and they start foaming at the mouth at it. But honestly, the healing that a disciplined priest can cap at is so much lower than all the throughput healers. So if your throughput healers are not getting the chance to do all that delicious healing, then just drop a healer. Please.
That's
Drop
true.
the disc priest. No more cutting in line. Yay.
Is that the solution? That's the solution.
Encounter design. It's encounter, like, do what they actually talked about and make the constant steady damage.
Yeah.
And then because the raw healing of disc is always going to be the lowest of all the healers.
Yeah, right. It's preventative, and you doesn't. Yeah.
But
So
I
make
think that's
that
the problem,
20-30% overheal that the throughput healers always have. Like, make that useful in some way.
They need to make it so that disciplined priests are not strong enough to have to design an encounter around maybe they have a disciplined priest, because if they then do have a disciplined priest and you didn't account for it, then it makes the entire fight too easy, and I think that's wrong. They need to do something about that.
Goodness me. There you go. Adding quotes to the chat room. That's what it's there for. But I'm hitting the button, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode. This is the final one of the standard Warlords of Draenor junket for healing. This was Holy and Disciplined Priests, and around the table again, our guests, of course, were... We brought on Jack for the first time on the show. Thank you, Jack, so much for being here. There you go. There it is. You can go follow Jack on Twitter at AutomaticJack and go find him when he streams and go ask him, Jack, please, how do I do holy things? Thank you.
Yes. I got your back, Holy Priests.
Thank you, sir, though. It was a pleasure. Awesome having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Someone needs to.
Yes,
I will.
needs to.
I will.
Over there with the counter-reverse diplomatic salt, there's Jinze. You can go follow her on YouTube at Proper Bird, where all of her other socials are there, where her stream and her Twitters are all there. It was a delight. Thank you so much for being on the show.
And thank you for having me. And I'm not going to reroll Holy ever, so you haven't convinced me.
Damn it. Then, of course, we have the this guy over here. You can follow him on Twitter at Affinity US. Oh, he's trying to put his sunglasses on, too. There you go. That's good. I like it. Thanks for on the show, Affinity. Always appreciate it, buddy. Wow.
Nerf disc.
Salt.
Nerf disc.
And we spoke about Holy for way too frickin' long. I hate it.
You're
hate
okay. Oh my goodness. And of course, if you need to know anything more about Final Boss TV, you can find it on FinalBoss.tv. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher and on YouTube for past episodes. We're going to have an after show shortly in a minute. If you have questions for our guests, stick around for that. You can hit us up on the chat room or, of course, on Twitter. Next week, Shadow Priests.
Oh, baby.
Off the cusp of doing Priests, of course, and the huge thread that Twin Top made. He'll be here with +1 guests to talk about Shadow Priests going into the next tier and how they warmed up in, and basically talk about auspicious spirits for like 4 hours, I guess. But tune in for that, and then, of course, you'll find out the next episode after the next episode. But trusting your seal of tempered fate until it changes something else. Everyone behind the scenes at Final Boss TV, thank you so much for watching. And we will see you later. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Wave bye. Say wave bye or make a funny face. There you go. Perfect. Good. What is that? Is that a...
Okay.
What?
Yeah.